We are 1 week away from the 2023 NFL Draft, and this wouldn't be an NFL channel if I didn't at least drop my first round NFL predictions. One week away from the NFL Draft, and this is an NFL-centered channel, so of course we're going to run down the list, picks 1 through 32. Let's get things started. So start things off right, picks 1 through 5. At number 1 overall, I've got the Carolina Panthers taking Bryce Young, the quarterback out of Alabama. Number 2, the Houston Texans taking CJ Stroud. At pick number 3, our first trade of the draft, with the Indianapolis Colts trading with the Arizona Cardinals to get Anthony Richardson, the quarterback out of Florida. At pick 4, the Arizona Cardinals take Will Anderson, the edge out of Alabama. And at number 5, I've got the Seattle Seahawks taking Tyree Wilson, the edge rusher out of Texas Tech. Now, I've talked last week about my predictions for the quarterbacks, about how I would rank them, and I think it looks like the Carolina Panthers are going to be taking Bryce Young. The NFL odds, the Vegas odds, have moved in the direction of Bryce Young at pick number 1 overall. It looks like, especially with Bryce Young canceling further meetings with NFL teams, number 1 overall looks like it's going to be locked in, ready to go. Bryce Young is going to be a Carolina Panther. And the Houston Texans taking CJ Stroud. I think the Houston Texans, there could be a little bit of trade market there. I think maybe they're trying to see if anybody behind them absolutely has fallen in love with CJ Stroud to try to see if they can get an absolute mountain of picks and maybe go after Caleb Williams next year. But I don't know anybody's going to draft or is going to send them the franchise-changing amount of draft picks that they're going to be looking for. I think they're going to be very happy to still get CJ Stroud at pick number 2. He's great coming out of Ohio State. I think he's going to be just fine his rookie season, and I'm excited to see just what the Houston Texans are going to be capable of. But again, Bryce Young at 1, CJ Stroud at 2. Now picks 6 through 10, I've got Jalen Carter going to the Detroit Lions out of Georgia. The Las Vegas Raiders taking Christian Gonzalez, the cornerback out of Oregon. Number 8, the Atlanta Falcons taking Myles Murphy, the edge rusher out of Clemson. Number 9, the Chicago Bears getting Justin Fields some pass protection with Paris Johnson out of Ohio State. And at number 10, I have the second, so to speak, trade of this NFL draft, the third team to move around in this NFL draft. The New England Patriots trading up to pick 10 with the Philadelphia Eagles and drafting wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba out of Ohio State. So let's talk about some of these picks here. I think New England trading up, again, kind of uncharacteristic from Bill Belichick, but this year the tension is high. The anticipation is high that the New England Patriots are going to go and get one of the premier receivers in this year's NFL Draft. So I think they're going to move up to take the first receiver off the board in this year's NFL Draft in Smith-Njigba. I don't think if the Patriots move up to get this receiver that he's going to fall past the Houston Texans at 12. I think Bill Belichick and company are probably going to look at things very similarly, whether it's the Tennessee Titans, whether it's the Houston Texans. I don't think he makes it past either one of those two teams at 11 and 12 respectively. So I think New England calls up Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles and makes a move happen, trading a number of picks and maybe even one of their existing receivers like a Kendrick Bourne to the Philadelphia Eagles to give them a slot receiver to move them back to 14 and give them a chance to make a really good pick as well. But Smith-Njigba would be an absolute day 1, number 1 wide receiver for the New England Patriots, who have been lacking in the wide receiver department for the better part of the last decade. So picks 11 through 15. At 11, the Tennessee Titans taking Peter Skoronski, the offensive tackle out of Northwestern. The Houston Texans at 12, taking Lucas Van Ness, the edge rusher out of Iowa. Number 13 on the board, the New York Jets taking Broderick Jones, the offensive tackle out of Georgia. At number 14, with that traded pick, the 4th team to move within this NFL draft, the Philadelphia Eagles taking Devon Witherspoon, the cornerback out of Illinois. And at number 15, the Green Bay Packers maybe look for a trade, but maybe can't quite find it comfortably. I think they're going to get Dalton Kincaid, the tight end out of Utah. So let's talk about this section of trades and picks. I really like the move here for the Houston Texans, going, all right, we did get our premier receiving target that we wanted to pair up with our Ohio State quarterback in Smith-Njigba. So what they went and did is got one of the best pass rushers available out of Iowa, Lucas Van Ness, the mini Hercules, so to speak, by a lot of NFL scouts and analysts, brings a lot of really good bend and edge rushing presence from that edge position, and I think he's going to add some extra pass rush that they've been looking for since the departure of J.J. Watt. I'm not saying that he's going to absolutely be the next J.J. Watt, but getting some more added pass rush, getting some more pass rushing presence. D'Amico Rines looking for just a very well-rounded, solid player with his second overall pick as a NFL head coach. So I think Van Ness would fit in just well in a very aggressive attacking style, especially since he's going to be missing Nick Bosa that he had in San Francisco. I think he's going to look at Van Ness and go, we can do a lot of the similar things that we did with Bosa with you. In my eyes, it makes a lot of sense there. And then another pickup, Dalton Kincaid, the tight end out of Utah, going to the Green Bay Packers. You've got perennially Jordan Love as your starting quarterback going into next season. I don't know if they're going to be absolutely in love with the wide receivers a little bit further down the board, but I don't think they're going to be comfortable enough to want to trade out of position to get one of the best tight ends in this year's NFL draft. I think they get him a new receiving threat in Dalton Kincaid, and it's just going to give Jordan Love some extra tools and some extra options on the offense to play around with. Picks 16 through 20, number 16 here, Washington going after Will Levis, the quarterback out of Kentucky. His slide ends here, going to offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy. Number 17, the Pittsburgh Steelers taking Joey Porter Jr., the cornerback out of Penn State. Number 18, the Detroit Lions with their next pick getting Brian Branch, the safety out of Alabama. At number 19, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers replacing Donovan Smith and drafting Darnell Wright, the offensive tackle out of Tennessee. And at 20, a trade happening here. The Jacksonville Jaguars trading up with the Seattle Seahawks to get the best potential guard in this draft available, Osiris Torrance out of Florida. So let's discuss this selection of picks here. I really like the idea that, maybe not like the idea, but I could very well see the idea that Will Levis kind of tumbles in this year's NFL draft. Some people have him taking as high as 3, as high as 4 potentially. I think that Will Levis could very well be the guy that slides in this year's NFL draft. I had a lot of questions about him. You can refer to my last video on my concerns for these NFL quarterbacks, but I think him going to Washington, that is in dire need of a quarterback right now in a very competitive NFC East. Will Levis paired up with Eric Bieniemy, their new offensive coordinator. He's kind of a quarterback whisperer. We saw what he was able to do with Patrick Mahomes. If he's able to work some of that magic that he had in Kansas City on Will Levis, I think they found a solid pair. I think he could very well be the guy to maybe unlock the potential for Will Levis at the NFL level. I mentioned for him and even Anthony Richardson, you need the right offensive coordinator to unlock a couple of these guys' talents. Even Anthony Richardson going to Indianapolis potentially with Shane Steichen. So Will Levis with Eric Bieniemy, to me, feels like a very, very, very good match, especially because they have a lot of weapons along that offense. They still maybe need some work on the offensive line, but you've got a good bevy of receivers. You have a solid backfield. I think Will Levis would feel right at home in Washington. And looking around the rest here, at 20, Jacksonville trading up, getting Osiris Torrance. I really am high on Osiris Torrance. If he happens to be there later in that round, and maybe the Jaguars don't move up to go get him, I wouldn't be shocked if they still drafted Osiris Torrance at pick 24. Picks 21 through 25, the Miami Dolphins would be picking here, but they forfeited that pick, so the official pick 21 going to the Los Angeles Chargers. I think they're going to go Jordan Addison, the wide receiver out of USC, giving Justin Herbert another receiving threat. Baltimore Ravens at pick 22, going Cam Smith, the cornerback out of South Carolina, to work opposite of Marlon Humphrey. 23, the Minnesota Vikings drafting Zay Flowers, the wide receiver out of Boston College, to give Kirk Cousins another insanely talented weapon opposite of Justin Jefferson. Number 24, with that Seattle trade down with the Jacksonville Jaguars, Brian Brzee, the interior defensive lineman out of Clemson. And then pick number 25, the New York Giants, getting their receiver for Daniel Jones in Quentin Johnston, the wide receiver out of TCU. So again, let's discuss a couple of these picks here. I know Baltimore in need of wide receivers, but maybe they're just not quite sold. Maybe they decide they're going to go a little bit more heavy on the defensive side. They went and got Odell Beckham. They're hoping Rashad Bateman stays healthy. They still got Mark Andrews. So there could be the convincing that they're pretty much okay at wide receiver, still trying to work on getting the Lamar Jackson deal done. So maybe going Cam Smith there, a press cover corner on the outside to work opposite of Marlon Humphrey. The Ravens have struggled in the secondary with passing defense these last few years, so trying to lock down those outside corners is going to be huge. I think this makes a ton of sense for the Baltimore Ravens, even if it isn't a sexy, glamorous wide receiver pick. And then the Minnesota Vikings getting Zay Flowers. Ooh, let's get the focus right. And then Minnesota Vikings getting Zay Flowers. I'm very high on Zay Flowers. I love what he brings to the table. I've compared him at his potential to maybe even an Antonio Brown. I really love what he can bring to the table here. Opposite of Justin Jefferson, you just have a home run threat to replace the departed Adam Thielen, who is now a Carolina Panther. I think this would be a great pickup for Kevin O'Connell, for Kirk Cousins, and the rest of the Minnesota Vikings. Then the final chunk of picks 26 through 32. Let's run it. The Dallas Cowboys at pick number 26, drafting Bijan Robinson, the running back out of Texas. At number 27, the Buffalo Bills replacing Edmonds and getting Drew Sanders, a linebacker out of Arkansas who can play on-ball and off-ball linebacker. I'm really impressed with his film. Number 28, the Cincinnati Bengals, Michael Mayer, the tight end out of Notre Dame, a very versatile but do-it-all tight end, is going to give a very solid receiving option into an already very dynamic Bengals offense. At number 29, the New Orleans Saints going Nolan Smith, the edge rusher out of Georgia who had a very impressive combine, arguably the best combine of anybody this year. Pick number 30, the Arizona Cardinals trading up with the Philadelphia Eagles to move back into the first round, and they're going to draft another guard in this first round, Steve Avila, the guard out of TCU, to give Kyler Murray the pass protection that he absolutely needs and just open up a little bit more on the offense. And then the final pick in the first round of the NFL draft at pick 31 officially for the Kansas City Chiefs, the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, DeJuan Jones, the massive offensive tackle out of Ohio State. So let's again, final discussion here, looking at a couple of these picks. The Dallas Cowboys getting Bijan Robinson. I know there may be some people going, well, they franchise tagged Tony Pollard. They did also let go of Ezekiel Elliott, and whether he returns or not on a much cheaper deal, the move has been made. I think they're going to look at this situation, go, he's an in-state talent. He's the best running back in this NFL draft. We need to put more and more weapons around Dak Prescott. It doesn't stop here. It's the flashy, sexy Jerry Jones style pick, and getting the best running back is not going to hurt the Dallas Cowboys offense. I think this is still a very solid move, even though running backs, again, it's just a little bit of a shorter term, rookie chance, right? Running backs in today's NFL, maybe it's a 5-year rental and he's off somewhere else potentially. They're just not going to get the market that they once had. So the potential there is a shorter window with this first round pick in Bijan Robinson, but I think he and Tony Pollard are going to play incredibly well off of each other. You've got the Thunder and the Lightning there. And then looking around the rest of these picks, right after that, Drew Sanders, the off-ball and on-ball linebacker, who played at Arkansas, going to the Buffalo Bills. He's going to replace Tremaine Edmonds. I think this is a really good pick because he was playing off-ball linebacker at Alabama, played on-ball linebacker at Arkansas, can play in pass coverage, can run downhill and make plays in the backfield, had a number of sacks his final season at Arkansas. I think he's going to bring an extra little bit of dynamic edge to the Buffalo Bills defense that, again, very talented all over this roster. There's not a lot of holes looking around the squad, but losing Edmonds is still a pretty big deal in my eyes. You've also got Matt Milano there as well, but I think they really like those two linebacker looks. So having Edmonds gone, bringing in Sanders, playing him opposite of Milano, and they re-signed AJ Klein as well, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's going to be a very nice linebacker core, and it's going to be a lot for head coach Sean McDermott to play around with. So a number of moves in the first round of the NFL draft. It's a prediction. It's a week out from the NFL draft. I'm sure even at this point, when this video actually publishes on its own, the NFL draft itself is going to look incredibly different. I mean, maybe a little bit more wishful thinking on the New England Patriots actually trading up. Who knows? They could very well trade down, as very customary with Bill Belichick, and drafting whoever they think is the best player available at pick, I don't know, like 25 or something like that. It's just very Bill Belichick to trade down in the NFL draft. Wouldn't be shocked if it went either way, but maybe a little bit of hopeful thinking there. They actually trade up for the first time. I think Belichick may be on the hot seat, who knows? But it's going to be a very interesting and exciting NFL draft. I'm looking forward to seeing some of these very insanely talented football players who are going to be making a difference on NFL squads this upcoming season. The NFL draft is arguably the biggest highlight of the offseason for a lot of fans, so I think we've got a lot to look forward to. And with that out of the way, thank you so much for watching the video. Next week, not going to have an official video. I'm planning on doing a series of maybe YouTube shorts to react to some of the NFL draft picks that may be out and about, maybe doing a number of things as I am watching the NFL draft, so not my usual setup behind me, but I do want to react. I do want to give my thoughts and opinions on the first round of the NFL draft. It's an exciting time. There's going to be plenty of content still. Going to be maybe doing some extra draft-related content the week after. Haven't really figured it out that far yet, but I really appreciate you watching the video. Thank you so much. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and of course get the bell on to know every single time I'm dropping a video. My name's Tristan Blake Rines. I'll catch you in the next one. Adios.